Welcome back to the channel. Today we are breaking down a massive issue that affects every single one of us: the soaring national debt and the danger of unchecked government spending. When people ask why our country is in such a tough spot financially, the answer always comes down to hard facts and data from congressional budget offices and CBO and other places. So let's get started with where the numbers stand right now: the total gross national debt and the GDP. According to the official report from the CBO and the US Treasury, our national debt has officially crossed a nearly $40 trillion. So, now to put this in perspective, for every single American family, this means every single household is carrying hypothetical burden of roughly $300,000. So now defenders of massive government program argue that heavy government spending is necessary to invest in the country and support economic growth. This is the argument that they make. But for everyday taxpayer, the bottom line is clear. When the government borrows trillions of dollars unchecked, is created runaway inflation, drives up the cost of living, and saddles our kids with a bill they never voted for. Now let's talk about the cost of the interest on the national debt. Debt doesn't just sit there. You have to pay interest on the borrowed money. Now, because our national debt has skyrocketed to nearly $40 trillion, the federal budget data shows that the net interest payment alone now costs taxpayers over $1 trillion every single year. Think about that: $1 trillion every single year. To put that staggering number in context, in interest payments on the national debt now has more than our entire national defense budget. Simply put, billions of dollars earned tax dollars are completely thrown away just to pay interest on the past government waste, instead of fixing roads, helping veterans, or lowering taxes. We are putting all this money back into just paying the interest on the national debt. So now let's look at the annual deficit and overspending that the government does right now. This is where Washington spending addiction becomes really, really bad. According to the CBO, the federal government is running an annual deficit of roughly $1.9 trillion right now. This means year after year during non emergency times, Washington continues to outspend its income by nearly $2 trillion annually. But here is where conservative economic principles matter. Real prosperity doesn't come from government borrowing and red tape. It comes from free market. As President Ronald Reagan famously taught us, the government is not the solution to our problems. Government is the problem. Speaking of the Reagan solution, President Reagan proved that when you cut taxes, slash burdensome regulations, and let people keep more of their own money, the economy expands naturally. When the government gets too big, it crowds our private business, raises prices at the grocery store, and cuts away at the purchasing power of your paychecks. Finally, let's address the danger of our future. Neither political party has a completely clean record of spending, but the current path of unchecked multi trillion dollar borrowing is unsustainable and threatens the long term stability of the US dollar. When the CBO warns that our national debt to GDP ratio is pushing past historical danger zones, we have to listen. The difference: we need fiscal sanity, strict budget limits, and leaders who know how to live within their means, just like everyday Americans do. So, what is the final key takeaway? The raw government reveals a clear choice for our economic future. The big spending approach relies on endless government debt, massive federal expansion, and heavier burdens on taxpayers. The conservative Reagan-inspired approach focuses on limited government fiscal responsibility and lower spending and true economic freedom. When you look at crushing interest payments and out of control deficit, the data proves we must stop unchecked government spending before it breaks our economy. Now, I want you to guys to think about it. What do politicians they do? They take $1, or not $1, but they take a lot of money from one person, losing one vote, and they go and they give it to 4 or 5 of other people who are just sitting home doing nothing to get those 4 or 5 votes. This is the Democratic Party. This is socialism. Socialism is basically a giving incentive to people who did risk their money, their time, and made a business and now are multimillionaires or billionaires. We will tax them to give it to you so you can just sit home and do nothing. This is not how the economy works. We need to lower our social programs, lower Section 8 housing, lower food stamps, and completely abolish it one by one. Don't give any Medicaid unless you're in a homeless shelter. And let people work, let people save money, and let people go and pay for their own stuff rather than taxing people who actually have an idea and give something back to the economy and give something back to the people. And let's tax everyone at a reasonable rate and lower our spending so we can stop this increasing national debt that we have in this country and actually move towards a fiscal responsibility and to everyone's dream, a zero national debt economy. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about in the comments below and how should the Washington tackle the national debt. So yeah, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.